All right, there we go.
Okay, so welcome to Help Desk Live. My name is LeRoy Wong. I'm with Burlington High School. And so I think this is episode 33 of our series. And so today's topic is on how to, hang on one second. Today's topic is how to essentially begin your own student help desk at your school. So I introduced myself. I'm going to quickly let my colleagues here introduce themselves. So Hugo, if you want to just quickly introduce yourself.
I'm Hugo, one of the help desk students. So I choose this. So help desk is like a class you can choose from. So it's a process.
It's a what?
It's a class.
It is a class. Yes, right.
So I'm a junior. I'm a senior now. So I. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get more into the details of what Hugo does in a minute. And so I'll go ahead and let Dennis introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dennis Villano. I'm the Director of Technology Integration for Burlington Schools. I work with students and staff at the entire district with technology in the classroom.
Okay, so I'm going to switch the camera view to you all, and I'll let you introduce yourselves. So Dr. Reichert, you all can just go ahead and introduce yourselves if you'd like.
Great. First, thank you for hosting. Thank you for hosting. I'm Dr. Michael Reichert, Director of Technology and Instruction at Salesianum School in Wilmington, Delaware. We're an all-boys school that serves about 1,000 students from grades 9 to 12. Alongside of me, I've got...
Hi all, my name is Amanda Matarese. I am the Technology Integrationist here at Salesianum. I help mostly with the students and some with the faculty.
Hi, everybody. My name is John Lane. I'm the Technology Support Specialist here at Salesianum. I pretty much maintain integrity of the entire MDM and day-to-day issues that our faculty and students face.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So, so there were some questions that you gave us, and then I, shared the Google Doc with you all. And so I guess, we can go ahead and jump into your first question, and then we'll go through and just, have a conversation. So go ahead.
Great. So first we were wondering, with the student help desk, what are the main responsibilities that the students have?
Sure. Okay. So I can start with that, and then I'll have Hugo talk about it. So essentially, as a help desk, a lot of it is tech support for students and teachers that may come to us. So this is our, help desk room, or part of it anyway. And another part of it is just learning about new technologies, so that they can help teachers and students use technology and integrate it into learning and teaching. And then another part of it is creating like a digital portfolio. So the students have a blog. They work on different projects, which they kind of like document within that blog. So I think those are kind of the main things. And I don't know if Hugo, you want to kind of talk a little bit more about your responsibilities.
Yeah. So every week we have like a weekly reflection for the whole week. So basically, it's just updating the thing we are doing. And so I think last week we are working on a project. It's about like AR sandbox. It's like kind of
so it's an augmented reality sandbox that they're working on right now.
Yeah, but I'm the assistant. There's another guy called Eddie, and he's the leader. So
right. Unfortunately, Eddie Reese could not make it. So do you mind getting that, Hugo? Sorry, we have a sign up telling people that we're like broadcasting live, but some people aren't reading that right now. So sorry about that. So yeah, let me see if I can do a screen share real quick. And I think, hang on one second here. I'm just going to go to our right now. So sorry about that. So yeah, let me see if I. Oops, sorry about that. think I had the live feed because I'm slight delay. So let me see if I can just do a screen share just for the benefit of anybody else that might be watching this. Okay, bear with me for a minute. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, let's see if I can share our screen here real quick. And okay, so essentially there's a student logs section here. So this has existed pretty much, I think, since the inception of the Student Help Desk. And I'm just going to click on Eddie's blog right now. So essentially, he and Hugo have been building a
Just on the side.
I can on the side. It doesn't go all the way down.
Lost them. It's gotta be. We have everything set on hide participants. We didn't read.
Hi, participants.
I didn't know you could do that. That's new. We're using the right camera.
Hide or
Hide. Minimize.
LeRoy, I'm having a hard time hearing you. Whoa.
You're coming through, but they're not.
Click the
Look, their icon down the bottom.
Oh, whoops, sorry. I was actually, so can you all hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry about that. I was actually trying to show,
Turn yours up a little bit.
I'm not sure if you all saw that, so apologies for that.
That's gotta be on there.
Can you all hear me okay now?
Yep.
Okay. Did you have any other questions about like the
Turn mine off.
LeRoy, you there?
Yeah, we're here. So sorry about that. Just I guess with this first one, we're experiencing a lot of technical difficulties, but hopefully we'll get better as we go on. So did you have any other questions around student responsibilities or? If not, we can just go into the next question, which was about, well, you can ask the question too,
So,
if you have anything else to add.
can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, we're good.
Got it.
So I think one of the biggest things we're looking at are different models across the country with help desks. So as an additional enrichment activity, a class, or a paid position. And I understand you guys chose to structure it a class. So I'm sort of wondering why at first, but also what positives you see from having it a set class.
Sure. Okay. So maybe, Dennis, are you okay with taking that one? Do you think you can? Okay.
Well, at first, the help desk was actually designed because of the need to support the staff. We were about to buy about 1,100 iPads, and the only technology staff in the district served 6 schools. There were 2 members of that staff. I was not in this role yet. I was still working as a teacher at the middle school. And we were worried. We were a little bit panicked about how we were going to support 1,100 devices along with the other things that we were doing in the district as other technology initiatives. So our first thought was to involve the students. They were involved in the planning process for the one-to-one program from the start. So let's have them involved in the support for the program. So we developed the help desk around that. So there could be a first level place where students or teachers could go to get help for whatever need there was. You know, I don't know how to get on the Wi-Fi. I can't open this file. I can't download the app correctly. Low level tasks. If they couldn't solve the low level task, it would get moved up to the IT department. But at first it was meant to help with that. And in the early days, it was a full course, it was a class, but they weren't doing some of the things that LeRoy and you could talk about that they're doing now. They're really doing more to support the technology itself for the students and teachers. And it was a busy place. It was a line of students first thing in the morning, or several teachers at the end of the day looking for help. But as students and teachers got better with the technology itself, it's changed into what it's become today.
Great. Are there any tasks that students are restricted from carrying out, or is it just simply assessing and addressing those lower level tasks among students and faculty?
So from an IT perspective, and my role is kind of blurred the lines of IT and curriculum. From our perspective, there are some things that students don't have access to. They certainly can't see passwords, but LeRoy can talk about they can reset passwords. So they can work on some of those things under his supervision. There are certain things that they're not going to be opening up a device or taking something apart physically unless it's a project that they're doing for Help Desk. They might be doing some of that as a separate project. But if something needs to be done at that level, it's going to go to the IT department for support. But in those early days especially, there were things that they were doing that what we would see as a network technician, or that first level of support on an IT level, was being asked to do. So there were some times when they were really functioning as very cheap unpaid labor for Burlington Public Schools. Occasionally, we'd buy them some lunch or something like that to support the cause. But awesome. They were part of that low-level support that really helped us get through the needs of the district at the time. And now the things that they're doing are even beyond some of the things that we do in the IT department, but they're doing it as projects as part of the curriculum here for LeRoy.
To get that initially off the ground, did you need to recruit students, or did you find that students initially took to that idea?
Yeah, it wasn't hard to find that first group of students the first year. There was a lot of interest in it. A couple of the students who actually joined the first help desk were on the actual one-to-one committee that was deciding on how we were going to implement it. The first decision originally was what device it was going to be. One of those discussions actually started before the iPad even existed. So they were part of it from the beginning, and then they wanted to join in the next step on the help desk. But there's a lot of folks here that were interested from the beginning that just wanted to, because of an interest in technology, they wanted to be a part of the help desk. It wasn't hard to recruit them. We actually had a large number at first, more than we wanted. So they went through an interview process originally where they had to come into an interview like it was actually modeled after the Apple Genius Bar interview process. They sat with us for a few minutes. They had to provide reasons why they wanted to be a part of it. And then we gave them a task and asked them to figure it out with technology. Something was wrong, it wasn't working. It wasn't necessarily that we cared if they actually figured it out, as we cared about the process they went through to try to figure it out, the troubleshooting that they did to see if they can come to a solution.
Brilliant.
Great. Do either of you have a question?
I have a quick question. So you had mentioned, Dennis, that the help desk is available, of course, as it needs to be before school, during school hours, and as well as after school. Now, as you mentioned, what was that transition today? Now, Hugo was saying that it's a class. Like, is he available before school as well as after school, or other students? How do you work that schedule out?
So yeah, I can talk a little bit about the schedule. So essentially, when the students come to me, we're very busy help desk with someone else at the door. But anyway, when the students come to me during their period, so this is, Hugo's regular period. If there are help desk issues that come up, certainly that's, our name, that's what we do. And so, we do help folks that drop in. But, there are going to be moments where there are lulls and we don't have as many customers and things like that. So, that's where we kind of stop and kind of look at what's going on, right now. So, lately we've been having kind of this proxy issue with student connectivity at home. So we have filtering for the students that, all the students have iPads. So we have to filter them to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do on the internet. So had a firewall upgrade last week. some students are having some problems with that. So, it's probably been a little bit busier for us this week, but then other weeks I'd say, maybe not quite as busy. So then if there are other projects that teachers or, other folks need us to do, we can kind of work on those, or we just kind of look at various topics and things like that. So Hugo, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I usually do this in class now, like before school or after school. So, but I think the class, like the time we spend on class is enough to solve the problem, because I think we have 4 periods, right?
Yeah, so there are 4 periods that I have students, but I'm pretty much here just about any period, just in case things come up. But
so
yeah, I would say, Hugo, I'll kind of extol your virtues a little bit. So I'd say he and Eddie, unfortunately Eddie couldn't make it. Some of the things that they're working on, like the AR sandbox, like they've come if they had free periods, or they've even come like after school to kind of work on things. I would say definitely at the beginning of the year, it was very busy with like iPad deployments. So, if students could come and help, that was a big help to me. And as Dennis said, that was originally, I guess, the reason for it was because we're not that big a district. We don't have a huge IT staff, so having students come to do the vital work has been great.
It's what's clear to me is the reasoning that a school would want to do this. What I'm looking also, I guess, from a selling point to the students. What do the students get out of this participation in a help desk?
Definitely. So, I would say, as far as like the skills that they've learned, and, I think Dennis can probably speak historically, I think just gaining the customer service experience has been great. I think no matter what you do, I think you just need to be able to serve whomever you're working well. And then I think, gaining some of the technical knowledge, obviously that can be used in a variety of ways. So some of the students do take like computer science or other courses that are related to this. It's too bad that Eddie couldn't be here, because he I think is probably someone that represents a lot of what we're trying to build up. And, ultimately, I think he wants to be someone that wants to be in the computer science field. We actually do have an employee on the IT staff that I think was on the help desk, right, Dennis?
Yeah, we've had several students who have gone through the help desk program who are now either summer work while they're in college, so they're paid during the summer to work with the IT department, or we have one network technician who came here out of college after going through the help desk program and is now a full-time employee. So they have been able to have some actual paid work and paid time during summer and college breaks. And again, we have one that's a full-time member of the staff now. So it's for the kids who have had interest in going beyond just doing this at high school. I think it provides some good opportunities for them to talk about it in college. We have a couple of students that want to come back and work for us. They're just going, they're freshmen in college this year. And it builds some skills that aren't just working with the IT department. It builds, like LeRoy said, customer service, public speaking, writing, when they're writing descriptions on the blog. Sometimes our best IT folks aren't the best at explaining how to use technology or how to do something to a teacher or a student, but these kids are learning ways to do that, and that becomes a really valuable skill for them later.
yeah, and so during the class we if no student ask for help, we usually is Mr. Wong will give us a resource for science technology stuff, and then we learn how to do it and get so we can updating our knowledge about the newest technology, so that can help to solve problems.
So when you have a number, you're serving a population similar to ours. So how do you monitor that influx initially, either before school or at the start of a year, of requests coming in? Do you use a request tracker or ticket system?
So we do actually have a ticketing system. It's called School Dude. It's really more, for the technicians. I mean, I do have access to it. The students themselves don't have access to it. So what I, will tend to do is, maybe during the week, we'll maybe look at it, and then I'll just kind of let them know, hey, this seems to be an issue, or these are the issues that seem to be coming up a lot, this week. And so, we'll kind of like do it that way. They don't have direct access, but I share the information with them. And then sometimes, for this week, I was mentioning that we've been having this proxy issue. I'll just have a shared Google spreadsheet where I'm having the students enter student names and other information, just dates on where they were seeing problems. So that way we can kind of identify patterns, which I think helps like our, IT and network people. So, even though we're not kind of technically within the IT group, we're more, instructional folks. You just can't help but actually, work within that, because, if things are not working, we need to make them work so that you can get to the actual, instructional part of it.
And at first, again, the way that the program has changed, that at first it was really a technical program. It really was focused around solving technical issues with devices, with projectors, with things in the classroom that the teachers needed. Again, I think for a lot of times when we talk to schools who are developing help desk programs, that's where they are at first. And they see an evolution over the years that it's not as much about technical support, and it hopefully becomes more about integration support. How do we now help the teachers actually use the technology in new ways in their classroom? So that's where I think this help desk has grown. It's still providing some low-level support. Hugo has a few kids out in the hall right now who need that, some technical support with their iPads. But the way it's really grown, and it wasn't like this at first, is now they can actually say, here's an app to use with your class, or the teacher will come to them and ask them, how can I do this with my students? And the help desk kids can find a way to do it for them.
I have one quick question, and then unfortunately I do have to leave. I have my last period of the day that I actually have to. So I know I kind of want to jump around to actually question number 6. We're talking about how students were staffed per period. You had mentioned that 4 periods usually of the day, helping out at the help desk.
That's
what
right.
does your daily schedule actually look like?
Right. Sure. Yeah, definitely. I can tell you. So, I mean, essentially, our periods are like 45 minutes per, actual class period. And so essentially, when I'm here, in like the 15 minutes or so before like homeroom, there might be some students that come in and, I'll try to help them with those issues. But, we could have students come in really at any point. They'll get a pass, they'll come here if there's like an issue that they need help with. We'll have teachers drop in. I think ideally if we could have it where folks make an appointment, that would be better. And I think, usually for things that are a little bit more involved, I'd say like at the beginning of the year, we had some teachers that just were not as familiar with Google Classroom. So Hugo actually did a presentation for that teacher and then with the class to kind of like clear things up on, how to use it. So I guess we were all on the same page in doing that. So that was valuable for Hugo, I think, because he's like an exchange student. And, I think just as far as like learning, English and just presenting, he was very stressed out about it, but I think he did well. I think, even in the, 2.5 months or so that I've had him, I've seen a lot of growth just in like his writing, in terms of just his speaking and, working with folks. And right now he's got like 4 or 5 students he's working with out there. So I just kind of sort of set him free to work.
One thing that
There is my bell, so I have 30 seconds left.
Oh, okay, sure. Right. And
to clarify, do you have a rotating schedule of periods, or is it straight through? How many periods in the day do you have?
so we have 7 periods, right? Yeah, 7 periods. I'm still like confused almost on a daily basis because it does rotate. So, you know, it's 1 through 7, but then like the next day it'll start with, you know, 1 on a particular day. And then the next day it will start with 2 and then 3 and so on and so forth. So I'm constantly checking like what day we're on. And I think the reason we do that is that there's one period each week that's like a long block. So I guess that gives that particular teacher within that period or block more time to kind of work on certain things. I guess it gives us some equity. So yeah, that's kind of how our periods are set up.
And LeRoy is assigned to the courses here at the help desk, but one of the things that's been really important to me over the years is that whoever's facilitating this program does have some flexibility and freedom to not have to be at the help desk all the time. So he may not leave his students alone in the help desk the first week of school as he's getting to know them. But over time with working with them, he can leave them here at the help desk location where we're at, and he can then go out and help teachers in the classroom, out in the school. Occasionally, he may even, he hasn't done this yet, it's still early, but I'll have him out in other schools throughout the year as well, because the help desk program is meant to be support for the whole district, not just the high school. So he is locked to a physical time for scheduling the 7 blocks, the rotation, the long block each week. But we hope that the students can kind of maintain this physical space and allow him to go out and work with teachers as he can throughout the day as well.
Great.
Excellent.
All right. Well, I'm signing off. Thanks so much.
Oh yeah, thank you. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
So going off of what you just said, I was curious. I was taking a look at your syllabus earlier, and I just had to ask, why 6? Did you find that 6 was an effective number, or was that just sort of the amount that was interested in the program? Or can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Right. So I think, as Dennis had said in the beginning, probably like lots of students were interested. I mean, you know, I think just in general, like for, you know, Burlington as a district, there was like a lot of excitement, you know, just about like, you know, having a one-to-one program, you know, and, you know, students getting iPads and whatnot. So I think there was a lot of that. And so that was kind of natural. I think as, you know, time has gone on, maybe as folks have got a little bit more tech savvy, kind of understand how, you know, the devices work, there have not been as many students. So I think I'm the 3rd instructor in this program so far. So I think, you know, just from my time here, it seems like it's evolving. So, you know, I think my predecessors, you know, did a great job. And so I'm kind of like just building on what they did or trying to. But, you know, I definitely want to kind of put my own sort of spin on it, look at more kind of technical things. Not to say that, you know, my predecessors didn't do that. And my background isn't necessarily technical, but, you know, I did work in the Boston Public Schools with their technology office. I've done help desk work. I've done repair work. So I feel like, you know, I'm trying to bring more of that direct experience that I've had to the students so that they can kind of, you know, learn that. So, you know, I'm hoping that's generated a little bit more interest. And so I think there have been more students that have been like, oh, this looks really cool. And, you know, when, you know, is this something I could sign up for, you know?
And part of the reason for limiting the number originally was we had a lot of students that were essentially applying to become part of it, and we were interviewing them. Again, to make this program be able to have a space that's very flexible, have the facilitator be able to leave the space and go out to classrooms, it wouldn't work if we were going to have 30 students as a full real class, you know, in that traditional number, or 25 students at a time. We wanted it to be a little bit smaller to start with, to allow that flexibility. And we were getting, the numbers were always 6 to 12 per session, per block of the day. As LeRoy said, I think that in some cases now, because it's changed every year, over time it's evolving, different students with different interests are applying to become part of it, or want to become part of it. You are getting, I think now, more students who want to learn about not just going out and doing low-level tech support. Now they actually want to create a thing, which has they're doing a sandbox project. It was seeing the interest of the student.
Take a moment to remember that we are in the presence of God.
Hold on a second, guys. I'm sorry.
No problem.
The
is our afternoon prayer.
My God,
Okay,
be
understood.
grace to perform this action with you and through love for you. In advance, I offer to you all the good that I may do and accept all the
Keep forgetting to switch the view back and forth, but it's okay. It's my first one.
That's all right.
We just got a couple announcements going on here.
Okay, that's fine, no problem. We figured it was still going on. We weren't sure.
Congratulations to soccer for wrapping up another fantastic season.
We had more folks out there.
Oh, did he? Okay, maybe he's helping some of them. Yeah, I'm guessing it's still probably the proxy thing. But Jose said hopefully they'll fix it today, so we'll see what happens. But it's definitely the biggest issue of the week. I probably had at least 8 to 10 students every day, that had that.
It all happened after that switch that they did after school.
I think largely so. I think there could have been a few that, after I sent kind of like the all student email, they're like, oh, this guy can help me. And so, but that's fine. Like I said, I'm here to do that. Lots of announcements. Are you able to help them? They're still having issues. Did you check to see if Jose was there? Just go in the hallway and see, just down there, and if, prop the door also too.
Hey, if you can wait out there, because they're going to do a recording here in a second. They'll come right back to help you out.
Are they back? Or?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. A lot of announcements. Did you need to leave soon? I just want to make sure I'm not taking up your time.
No, I'm
okay.
fine.
All right.
Not yet.
Okay. How's your week been? Is he around or no?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let me go check. You
Yeah.
stay
Okay.
here.
All right. That's fine. Okay. Thanks, Dennis. Thanks, Hugo. I appreciate it.
question.
I think we're almost at the end, but we'll just see if they have any other questions.
So,
You know what I'm going to do is what's that? Yeah, so they have like announcements going on. That's why like their microphone's muted right now. So I'm going to wait until they're done. We can go back. So. Back. Hey, are you guys back?
LeRoy, sorry about that.
No, that's fine. I thought our announcements were long, but
that was incredibly long, particularly long
okay.
as our student council president and principal both were reminding the students of a variety of upcoming things as we enter Spirit Week next week.
I understand. Okay. All right. Yeah, no problem at all. That's okay. So
one thing I want to make sure before I just have couple more questions, but I just want to thank you for taking this time to speak with us.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no, it's been.
As I mentioned to you, I guess via email initially, we're in the initial planning stages, looking for probably next school year or over the summer just to get this going.
Sorry, now our announcements are going on. Give us, ours are pretty short, so just give us a couple minutes here, okay?
No problem.
Oh, okay. Actually, I think we're okay. So, all right, go ahead. Oh,
and just one more quick announcement. Good luck to a few teams as they start their state tournament runs today.
That's awesome.
Oh my God. This is comical. This is on YouTube.
I know, it's what
That's the funniest part.
Okay, back-to-back announcements. All right, so yeah, I'm sorry. So go ahead with your question.
Sorry, that's a first. Has to be a first. So my biggest, I guess, my biggest question. I've been reading, looked on your blog, both as a tech support team, a help desk, but also the students' individual blogs, and I think it's ILE's individual learning endeavor.
Correct. Yes. That's just. Okay.
Can you just sort of speak to each of those elements, not only the tech support that the students provide on a daily basis, but then also those more long-term support-based items?
Right. Yeah. So essentially, so the ILE, as I understand it, was something that was created by Ms. Sheffer. So kind of taking what Google does, where their employees have 20% of their time each week devoted to something that they just want to do on their own, right? Just some idea in the hopes that whatever that project may be, it could be like some amazing thing that helps, Google as a company. So, I'm just kind of trying to continue that. It can be a little bit difficult. Like, some of our students are more tech savvy. So, Eddie, who couldn't be here, who was in the same period as Hugo, it just so happened that a gentleman in our science center that works with like a variety of different schools wanted to build this augmented reality sandbox. So almost, I think the first week, he came in and he said, "Oh, here's what I want." And it just happened that he came in when Eddie was with me, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I can do that. I can build, computers, and I know how that whole process works. And then I've got an Xbox and the camera and whatever." So it was just one of those things where it's like, hey, it was serendipitous and it worked out. With other students, I think we're trying to kind of figure out what that might be. And I don't really put restraints on it. I mean, I really try, and I think that's the nice thing about having a small group of students. I can really get to know them as individuals, figure out like, okay, what are their interests and how do those interests, intersect with technology.
So that's more than a process-driven sort of on an individual basis, the students think of where their strengths lie and where their interests lie and then pursue that?
That's what I try to do. Yeah. And so, it's different because I guess, honestly, I think traditionally, as far as like what teachers do, it's like, okay, I have this body of knowledge that I'm kind of imparting on you. Whereas I think with the ILE, and really I think with the way I try to do the class is like, okay, so what is it that interests you, and what do you like? And then I try to kind of figure out with them, like, what aspect of technology or what interesting thing within the world of technology can kind of, relate to that interest, so that, you can kind of come up with something.
Great.
That makes sense.
And from the standpoint of looking, you also mentioned that the students take care of it sounds like mainly end user issues like connectivity and so on and so forth. With the opposite piece to that, the tech integration, how is that received among the faculty, with students saying, here's, for instance, here, let me demonstrate Nearpod and show you how that could be used?
Yeah, I think that the faculty, in general is pretty receptive to that, and I think it just depends, even though we're a pretty high tech district, there's some people that are using it, I think, to really great potential. And then I think there are others that are doing, really good things, but there are probably things that we can kind of push them to learn more about. So sorry, I'm just going to say bye to Hugo since it's the end of the day. I can continue though.
Thank him for us.
Yeah,
Bye. Just say hi. Say bye to you. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you, Hugo. Have a good weekend. So essentially, I think that's part of my job, is to try to figure out, like, okay, what is it that people could be doing that could make their jobs easier, make the instruction more interesting to the students. So I think that's the part that I'm trying to do more of, just kind of being new in the job. It's just kind of getting to know people and knowing, like, what they need. And so, I was actually just having a conversation with Dennis earlier today with our English department, and they want to make the senior research project a much more 21st century / technological project.
Would Monica Van Stryde please report to the main office? Monica Van Stryde to the main office. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just going to switch back to me. I keep forgetting to do that. So anyway, just getting back to what the English department wants to do, rather than have like a research paper, which obviously students are always going to need to research and write a more formal traditional paper. But they're thinking, well, what if we have students make a documentary or make a podcast series or a website or something like that. So clearly researching and writing will still be the foundation of that. But as far as, the world that we live in, you have to have, I think, some understanding, some facility with being able to produce things digitally. I mean, that's essentially how most content is going to be widely distributed, consumed, in the world, and just whatever job you have. And so I think it's pretty forward thinking, that department. And I would say probably, all of our departments should be looking at doing things like that. And so, there's some variance, I would say, of districts that I've known, I've worked with. Burlington, I think, is on the high end of that, but there's always, I think, room for improvement, room for people to kind of grow and think about doing things that are more, technologically oriented, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. John, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, LeRoy, I wanted to talk real quick about the daily blog and how you monitor that. Essentially, I saw it was a big part of your grading system, and I was curious to see how you evaluated that. Do you take essentially what the student learned each day and break that down, or do you look at it?
So it's a weekly reflection is what Hugo was saying. And so I think, as far as like how that began, I think, as far as like the folks that came before me, I think their background was more in, writing, English, marketing, that sort of thing. That's not so much my background's actually in psychology, interestingly enough. But as far as that goes, I kind of understood it because that was sort of like the background that they were in. And so I think the purpose was to more have a digital portfolio. So I'm having the students continue it just because I didn't want to like sort of, destroy what had come before and reinvent the wheel. I kind of wanted to, stick with what the current curriculum was and, kind of modify it somewhat. So I think I probably would change that somewhat. I haven't really kind of figured out what that would be, say, for next year. But I think for now, I'm kind of keeping it just because it is sort of like the actual digital portfolio as I see it, that they would then use to show colleges, employers down the line. So I think that's what I'm trying to present it to with the students. Some of them, I'll be honest, like, it's not quite their thing, blogging and writing, because, that they do that for every other class. So I try to make it something where where I'm having them understand, like, hey, this is your thing. This is your digital portfolio that you're going to show to someone down the line to show, like, these are the things I learned in this class, which, will help me.
And one thing to add to that, the curriculum, I don't actually call it, I probably shouldn't, but I don't call it a curriculum for the help desk. The program has changed every year. So I don't know if I told him yet, but he has the freedom to change it as much as he wants. I think
Thank you, Dennis.
He doesn't have to go exactly the way it was. He needs to evolve it how he sees fit this year and moving forward, and it may be different next year. I want this to grow every year and to change and evolve with the needs of the district, the high school and the district. So it may not be as big a part of what LeRoy does with his students this year moving on, and that's fine. And one of my favorite parts about this program has been that it has the flexibility to change and adapt and evolve every year. It does not have to be set in some curriculum map like we do traditionally in a history or science class. So that curriculum that you see online provides a guide. It provides an overall plan for the class. It was developed by one of the previous facilitators, but if LeRoy wanted to shred it and start again with something different this year, I check it first. I'd have to see if it was okay, but he has the freedom to make a lot of changes to that. And you and every other school that wants to develop a help desk program really needs to develop it around the unique needs of your school, your culture, and your teachers. So it may look and feel very different than what we do here in Burlington.
Right, absolutely. I think you've given us a great blueprint, so to speak, though you alluded to, Dennis, that it will evolve and will be adaptable to the various schools. I guess my last question is, do you do, and I know you're already hitting these standards, but do you explicitly discuss the ISTE standards, whether for students or for teachers?
So we discuss it as a team. So our EdTech team, the EdTech team in Burlington is made up of what LeRoy is an instructional technology specialist, essentially an integration specialist.
Right.
We have school librarians. I actually combined library and technology into one team when I started this role. And we discuss it quite a bit. The ISTE standards, along with the American Library Association standards, are what created our information and digital literacy goals. So
okay.
It's a real curriculum map. We have something called information and digital literacy goals for K-12. We use their standards and use them in our own way to create our goals. So they're a big part of the foundation, but we've obviously adapted them to our own needs. We don't, I don't know, maybe you discuss it with your students. I don't talk to the students as much directly about that, but as a part of the goals that we have for a team, we do work with them on it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, yeah, I don't think I've kind of explicitly, talked to my students about those standards. But, I think I do have enough awareness and understanding that the things that I do, I try to kind of hit those standards as much as I can. And then I think on top of that, I do have a certification, like as an Apple certified Mac technician. So I wanted to kind of give them some awareness of like how certification works in the technology world. Again, like I don't know how many of them really will be interested, in that as a career. But I try to kind of tell them like, okay, these are kind of like basic concepts of how technology works and troubleshooting and things like that, just as they're aware of it and know it, in case it is something that they want to pursue, down the road, as a career.
Great. I personally don't have any other questions. John, to you?
I just had one more question. LeRoy brought up an excellent point about colleges. Have you guys had any colleges or higher education reach out to you and ask about this program? Because I personally think it's a fantastic thing to see on a transcript. And how does this help your students further their education?
So we've had quite a few colleges contact us over the years. To be honest, most of that happened within the first year or two of the program because I think we were getting a lot of national attention at the time. Patrick Larkin was our principal at the high school at the time. And I think now he's up to almost 50,000 Twitter followers, but at the time he was around only 20,000 followers. And we were getting quite a bit of recognition that we're in the local, Boston Globe, Boston Herald, our major newspapers as well, and that got some attention from the Boston school colleges. I still do meet with them occasionally. I have somebody coming from Boston College next week to talk about technology, and part of that is to talk about the help desk and how we're hoping to develop students to have the skills to move on to go to the colleges and work with them. So it happens, and the one negative comment on that is that the colleges in many respects are behind what a lot of the K-12 schools are doing with technology. I'm sure you see some of that as well. And sometimes we're moving forward with some things that they're a little bit slower to pick up on. OER, open educational resources, and things like that are one major part of it. And that's part of the conversation I have with Boston College next week. We're lucky, in Boston, which is about 20 minutes from us, we have obviously some great schools, and there's a program called Learn Launch that started out of that area, and they work with colleges to develop programs like this, but at different places throughout the country, and incubate them into what may end up becoming a real business at some point. So we're trying to do a little bit more of that. And it's something, though, again, I think is a little bit slower at the college level than I would like to see.
Right.
One thing I think that also is a little bit of a negative. The teacher programs, the colleges are not developing enough programs to teach teachers to lead programs like this or to work with students with technology. A lot of times they're teaching types of courses that they always have and haven't adapted them enough to prepare the teachers for this kind of environment. I've never heard a teacher who said, I went to college and learned about how to teach in a one-to-one classroom. So exactly. We need to see more of that as well. So that's one of the discussions that we've had with some local colleges recently.
Excellent. I agree wholeheartedly, Dennis. Well, thank you both for taking the time. It looks like it's about that time that both of us have to get back to the office, but I appreciate you both openness and candor in talking program.
Office, Eric Kozepian to the main office.
Yeah, I apologize. When I planned this, I didn't think that both you and we, would be having the announcements, but but something to remember next time.
Well, it was great talking to you guys. Listen, if you ever have anything you want to talk about or questions other than doing, we can answer anything or get in touch with other schools or other programs as well. We'd love to help out.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Have a great day.
Okay, thank you very much. So yeah, you can feel free to hang up. I'm just going to put like our standard plug at the end of the video, but thank you guys very much. Okay.
All right. Thanks so much.
Take care, guys.
Okay, take care. All right. So thank you for watching. Of Help Desk Live. Definitely follow us on Twitter at BHS Help Desk, and then our website is bhshelpdesk.com. Thank you, Dennis, for being part of the broadcast. Apologies for the technical difficulties at the beginning, but hopefully we'll get better with it. But thanks for watching.